guys. So I have had a very, very busy day and I'm exhausted. um, I did like 40 minutes of meditation earlier and I was feeling like, oh, I need to pop on and do a reading. And then I'm like, no, I don't feel like doing a reading. Gonna laugh at this mental space. That I'm like, no, this is precisely why you need to jump on and do a reading. So I was like, all right, I'll jump on and do a reading because I don't want to do a reading. Normally, I wouldn't read if I don't feel like I want to read, right? Because I want to give you guys the best energy. But yeah, it was really interesting. I had some stuff coming up in my meditation. Just noticing that we've got the vessel here at the bottom of the deck as I pulled it out. So I did a couple of private readings the other day, and the cards were just sort of put back in place, back into the box. After the private reading, I have not shuffled the cards. So it's just interesting to see what sort of energy is coming out at the bottom of the deck. So the vessel is the place where we contain ourselves, right? It's like our ethereal body. And that is exactly what we're going to dive into. So I wanted to make this a chakra reading. And I don't know if I'm going to do every chakra. In fact, I don't really have a plan for this reading at all. But I wanted to, so let me just have a chat about what was coming through in my meditation. I used the wobbler, like the one where your legs sort of jiggle back and forth. So I was on the wobbler for 40 minutes, and about 25 minutes in, I was like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. Like, why did I commit to doing this? So I had to change to some breathwork meditation. And even then, like 35 minutes in, I was like, oh, I'm annoyed. I want to finish this meditation. So that sort of energy of forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do, but you know that it's good for you and it's necessary and it's all part of your spiritual development and growth. So what can we say about the energies? I'd like to get 3 cards for the first 3 chakras. What can we say about the collective? What sort of collective energy are we tapping into here? And, what was I tapping into for the collective? Okay, so for the root, I'd like to just pull 3, get 3 cards straight away if I can. I'm not sure they're going to come that way, but let's see. Maybe I should cut out all the shuffling. Interesting. So I wanted to take this one, I wanted to take this one, and I wanted to take these 2. All right, we've got some cards coming out now. So let's start off with the root chakra. Right, so for the root chakra, we have the cave. And the cave can be a deep, dark, and scary space. Like you can see in this photo, he's got, like, there's these eyes in the cave that are sort of poking out in the darkness. But the cave is also, if we think back to sort of medieval days, or, well, I guess I'm thinking back a bit further. Let's go back to when we were running around, living in the bush, living off the land. The cave then wasn't a scary place. The cave was a place of protection. So what I'm feeling is part of what we're being called to do, and maybe why I was struggling with my meditation, is that we're, we're we know that we're going into we're essentially forcing ourselves to do the hard work, which means putting ourselves into a state and a place, i.e. the meditation, to give us the protection around our vessel, which is what we had at the bottom of the deck, so that we're able to address the shadow issues. Okay, I could say more, I could pull more, but right now I'm just feeling like I want to get through the chakras and okay, and then hopefully I'll be on and do a reading tomorrow. Okay, in the second chakra, we've got the siren. So the siren can be a card of, you know, I'm not going to say, well, I am going to say it, but it's not the only meaning, right? So the siren can be the sneaky, seductive, manipulative energy. I don't remember I should remember this, but I don't remember. Hemingway wrote a book, right? Was it? I think it was Hemingway. What the siren's call? Actually, I think that's a much older story. I think it's Greek mythology. Sorry, I think it's Norse mythology. Somebody who knows, comment down below. So the siren is a card of, especially for women, but also for men, actually equally for men, right? So we all have this part of us where we want to put our best foot forward to attract a mate, or to put our best foot forward in our creative endeavor, whatever it is that we're working on, or whatever it is that we desire. We essentially mask up, right? And it's not that we're not being ourselves, it's that we're putting our best foot forward, or something like that. However, this can come back to bite us, to haunt us. You see, I don't think you're gonna see it, but I see, like in this egg here, like shark's teeth, like a great white shark sort of coming in to bite. So I guess what we're working through here is, like, this is what I wore to work today, right? I'm doing very intense work, but I don't have to be suited and booted for it. I'm able to be myself, who I am, turn up and get the job done. And as long as I'm doing the job, then obviously when we go to meet clients and things like that, that's different. You're going to have to dress differently. But when I'm just at home getting the work done, well, I'm just getting the work done. So thinking about those two different sort of selves, like the projected self and the internal self, and what it is that we're calling towards us, because sometimes in our interest of attracting what we want, we are vibrating something that isn't truly us, and then it causes challenges, because either we then have to maintain the mask, or the mask falls, and then there's usually some sort of fallout, because of the siren's call that you were using. But then on the other hand, you've got, if you don't put yourself out there, then you're potentially not going to come up with the opportunities that you need to attract the things that you want to attract in your life. So there is a duality aspect there, and so that's what this second chakra card is about. It's about that, us working through and processing through that duality. Now the third card that we have, which is for our solar plexus, I have pulled cards for the solar plexus. This is for the navel chakra. So for the navel chakra, and I think in a past video I did that as well. I was saying solar plexus when I meant navel chakra. The energy flow between those chakras is very substantial from a spiritual level. So I shouldn't be mixing those up, because that is it's too loose. It's like, you know, too hand wavy for real spiritual practitioners. So with the navel chakra, we have the king, and we've got all of this orange light, this orange, red, yellow glowing light, which is a beautiful sign. Kings are about stability, and it's about what you're grounding in, what you're manifesting. It's about how you're turning up and what you have to offer in the world. And yeah, just with all of this beautiful glowing energy, what I see here is some level of synchronicity between, so we've got the red here, which is the root chakra, which was the cave here, and the cave was about us working through the shadow. We've got this little dot here, we've got this dot here, and we've got this dot here on the siren. So if we think about our spinal column and the way our spiritual energy travels, we can kind of see here how these cards are overlapping through those energy centers to go through and work through healing. And that's really what I felt like I was processing today. It was like, yeah, processing a lot of just like maybe things that I had put off, maybe things that I hadn't addressed. It wasn't even like a conscious processing. It was very much a subconscious processing of those energies, and my emotions were like a bit out of whack with all of it. Some of it I felt like wasn't my own energy. I felt like I was getting a couple threads, and I'm still learning whether those threads are for the collective or just other people I know. I didn't feel like it was really collective energy as such, but inevitably they're interconnected, right? Through me being the reader for the collective, there is some level of connection there. So, okay, moving on, we will look at, so here we go. Now we've got the real solar plexus, and then the heart chakra. So for the solar plexus, we pulled the flame, and for the heart chakra, we pulled the warrior. So with the flame here, you see how we've got all of these triangles, this pyramid essentially, and it's pointing the energy up. And we've got this matching red here. So now we look at the energy that we are actually pulling up through to manifest out our heart center. And the flame is fire. And fire is about the energy of transformation. So what it tells me is exactly what I said, is that this process that we're going through is because we understand that we create our own reality. And so we want to be projecting the correct things from the heart space. And so I just noticed I'm going for a haircut on Wednesday. So, yeah, I'm like, frick, my hair looks a mess in this video. So, okay, so we're making sure that our lower chakras are, we understand what it is that we want to manifest. We understand what our jewels are and what it is that we can stabilize in the external world. We make sure that we're using the right call of the siren to creatively bring that in. We're in our safe space. We're watching for shadow energy as it comes up. And here we go. And so let's just get it on the right part of the body. I don't work well in mirrors. So we're bringing that right up to the tip of the heart space, and what it is that we're manifesting out is the Warrior card. So, I mean, this resonates quite well for me. I mean, I was doing a lot of warrior type work today. And most of the people who resonate with being part of this collective, we do see ourselves, you know, we're here because we want to change systems, we want to change processes, we want to be governed differently, we want financial markets to function differently, we want different governance oversights. So we're here and we're ready to make change in the world. And so we're just making sure that we are cleaning the lower chakras so that when we manifest out the heart, we're actually manifesting out through all colors of the rainbow, and all of those colors of the rainbow make up the complete spectrum of white light. So if we want to be resonating and in line with our true divine energy, we realize that that is what we have to be doing. Now, as we come up through the heart center, we have a new circle here, and this circle is like, well, there's a gold ring here. It's an interesting image. Like, and on the one hand, it looks like it's like a bullet through the brain, right? Like but it's not a bullet hole. Instead, it's almost like a golden crown that has been, because if it was a hole in a skull and it had sat there in the sun and all the bone marrow had leached out, then you would end up with this frail, breaking skull, right, around where the bullet hole was. So, and this actually relates back to my last reading. So in my last reading, I pulled a card, and it was about, what card was it? It was about, oh, actually it was an archetype card. It was about the crevice, or the fissure or something like that, right? It was the dry land, and I've lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, that's right. So there was one thing that I wanted to mention in that video that I didn't mention, and that was that the Japanese almost like revere broken pottery, like very expensive pottery that is old, that has been smashed or broken and has been repaired with those gold veins. And for whatever reason, this connected me back to that card from the previous reading. And instead of this shot to the head being something that breaks this skull, it's something that's been mended into this very, like, what is with this? I don't know. It looks like it's a ring or a crown set on this this head here. Oh, it is a diamond in the middle. It's a ring with a diamond. So what we're looking to do from the heart space here is to patch up those fissures. This is really about deep inner work here, right? We're looking to patch up those fissures from the lower chakras and make sure that what we're pulling through our heart chakra, when you put a light through diamond, you get all the beautiful glistening, and in a way you almost magnetize the light. Magnetize, it's not exactly the word I was looking for, but that'll work. You get more refraction of that light through the diamond, and therefore you are able to see it more. You're able to, it becomes more present and dominant, and that's why our eyes are attracted to a diamond ring, because it's containing more light. So that is exactly what we're looking to do here with our heart center and with the healing. Now, what I'm being called to do next is to pull for the rest of the chakras, but I just got to download that these are going to relate probably more so to the upper level healing that we need to do in order to draw this light and the our highest vibrational colors through the heart center to manifest. So let's get to shuffling. Okay, so bend it over here, so I can talk and shuffle at the same time. So the next card that we're going to pull is going to be for the, actually I've already got them all. All right. So for the first one is for the throat chakra. I think I've got them all. And for the throat chakra, we have got, interesting. We've got the mountain. So immediately what I saw here is, first of all, I attached to the colors, right? So we were talking about the heart chakra, and then we're talking about how it's related to the other chakras. So right above this mountain is this purple aura. And then as we go out above the mountain and into space, we've got the green aura, which is the heart center. So this purple aura is our crown chakra aura. And our portal here in this card is this fire with the man sort of standing in the middle there. And what I feel like this is saying is that we're actually pulling a lot of energy from our ancestral line. Look, I'm just getting these downloads. This is not what I wanted to be talking about today. I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm in the mood for talking about ancestors, aliens, and all of that stuff. But yeah, what's coming through here that is the mountain is giving us our ancestors are helping us. This portal here is nearly at the top of the mountain, and the orange is that spiritual purification work that we're doing. And I just feel that it's saying that downloads are, when we stay in the heart space, downloads from the universe are coming for the collective. We're going to receive these downloads through the crown chakra to help us to elevate and ascend through releasing intergenerational trauma, healing intergenerational trauma. I'm just thinking that I pulled this card for the throat chakra, and then look at the aversion that I had, right? It's so funny, right? I'm like, I don't want to talk about this today. I don't want to talk about ancestors today. But obviously that's what the universe is telling me I need to be doing. Like, this is just like dead set. That was just a really funny. It's just funny because it's true, right? I talked about what I saw in the car, but I didn't connect it back to the chakra. So that was my download. You guys are going to have to determine what it is for you, what moves you to the top of this mountain. And it is something that you are going to need to speak on. And that was something that kind of surprised me there. Moving on to the next chakra, we have, which is the third eye. This is really interesting. We've got the orphan card here. And there's we've got, it's hard to tell what the portal is here, whether it's the flower or whether it's this random little itty bitty thing down here, marble or something, or whether the portal is the hand. Nonetheless, we have an Ouroboros here. The Ouroboros is really meaningful to me, and I have a really ugly tattoo, and it's a friend did it, and it was one of his first, actually, was it his first? No, it was his second tattoo that he did on me, but he did it in his first 3 months of tattooing. So it's on my wrist. It's super ugly. That's it right there. People are like, do you have a watch tattooed on your wrist? I was looking for an Ouroboros like this with the snake biting its tail. And that's not at all what I got. But the snake biting its tail has a lot of deep spiritual meaning for me, because I dove really deep into Spinoza and Kant on understanding the formation of reality. And I came to this picture, and I'm not going to be able to describe this well in this video, but I have a feeling that in a couple of days I'm going to come back and I'll be able to exactly explain what I mean. But if we didn't have sense organs, and remember that the bottom of the deck when I pulled it was the sheath, the layer. I forget what the actual name of the card is. I'm not going to look for it now, but yeah, we were talking about the sheath, the layer, the ethereal body. If we didn't have senses into the outside world, we would not know that we exist. And so I actually have a lot of, well, I've written a couple of papers on AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. And I do believe that it's not going to be long before we have AI consciousness, because right now the AIs are just struggling to have that external reference, so they don't realize that they're really existent. Once they have an external reference point, then they can become conscious. What's interesting about this card is that it is the orphan. And I think part of the meaning here, what they're trying to say to the cards are specifically trying to say to me here, is that point of reference is inherently only to you, right? My point of reference for the external world that makes me self-conscious, in the meta way of what I'm not talking about like just conscious that I am a slightly sovereign being. We are orphaned, right? We're the only person that carries that. Nobody else could do that for us. And in that way, we are sovereign. And we, I don't want to move into solipsism, but in that way, like that's where we realize that we create our own reality, and that if we didn't have external senses, then our reality, like if I just lost all my sensory input and I was just a mind in a computer, I wouldn't be having external experiences, and therefore I don't think I would know that I existed, right? The data would be there in the brain on the disk, but it wouldn't exist as Riley the person, because the person is the person in relative to all other persons, which needs a sensory door here in order to be experienced. Now, I started talking about ancestors and stuff like that here, and then I said I didn't want to talk about it, which is interesting, because then the very next card we drew was the orphan. So as we go through some of that generational healing, generational wounds, what I think we'll find is that it's going to allow us to become our true and whole selves, because we have been able to let go of who we think we're supposed to be. I see in this hand, and I know it's supposed to be the child's hand, the orphan's hand, but we are handed so much from our parents and the people we grow up with and our family members, and it's like they give us this hand of who they think we are. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I'm not super close with my parents, and that is on purpose. It's because I lose myself in that relationship. I haven't been able to heal completely the trauma, and thus the codependency, or mental codependency, not physical, but of our conversations. And it is kind of sad, but I am myself, and I'm a better person, and I achieve more, and I feel better about my life when I have that step back from what it is that they want to hand me. And that is the nature. Unfortunately, if the nature of our relationship changed, then I would potentially be able to handle more of it. But they do like giving that hand of, this is who you are, this is what you should be, or this is how we perceive you. And I don't believe that they do it intentionally, because we went to therapy about that like 10 years ago, and I honestly don't think that it's an intentional thing that they do, but it's just something that inevitably, that is the way that the energy is exchanged or not exchanged, right? So I also have noticed when they try to pull back, that there's a gap there that isn't being filled with something else. And so inevitably, I think we both get triggered from that gap. So I want to pull the guidebook here, and I am going to read a couple messages, and then we can think about how the guidebook relates to the third eye chakra. So the third eye chakra is all about our connection with universal consciousness. But it's not just like all of us all parts of ourselves are connected to universal consciousness. But when we think more about the law of attraction and like the idea of creativity, our third eye is where we sort of draw in what I'll call like the grid or the framework for reality. So for me, I experience that as almost like a grid in space-time. And I can see things moving and changing and along that grid. And other people have had similar experiences. Some people have slightly different colors. I've got a couple of friends who say they see it more like blue, like the color in my microphone. For me, it's more like a greeny, like a neon green type color. The orphan is what we're looking for. The shadow goes off the one. Let's see. And I am gonna get, I still didn't go out and get lights because I know that the lighting is not the best for me to be doing these videos. In fact, I've got all the lights in the room on. Okay. So it says, the orphan when in light is about deep acceptance and deep love, and when in dark, it's distance. It hates and avoids. It can be controlling and limiting. The wounded child, the abandoned, the beggar. To study the orphan is to study the deep and challenging energy of our time. Oh, okay, right. So it just clicked for me because look at all of the things that I'm talking about, like about the self, and that essentially we're unconnected. So for me, the healing is coming from doing the opposite. So because I'm thinking now of the feelings that were arising when I was in meditation. So the remedy is the opposite. So I'm still going to continue to read this card because I feel like there's probably another message, and then we'll move on to our final chakra. Okay, it says, the refugee crisis haunts our planet. Children are separated from parents, and the earth begs for our attention. We are in a time of universal orphanage, of nature, of each other, of our own hearts. Take refuge in the fact that we all share this care wound and dilemma. And that is so true. Like the more I do shadow work with others in groups, the more I realize how like we are all very wounded in the same ways, and that shadow work groups are so beneficial because it's not about sitting in misery and like just bouncing misery off the wall for each other. It's if it gets like that, then it's time for you to probably do more of your own internal work. But I think what what I'm being called to do is to actually do a bit more group work. Speaking of group work, I have 2 more astrology deep dives and 4 more lighter readings available for August if you're interested. If you book before the end of the month, I will get those readings out to you by August 21st. And if you need directions on how to book, I don't keep my pay details attached to my YouTube account, so you're going to have to email me. It's goddessilluminated144@gmail.com. All right. Take refuge in the fact that we all share this care wound and the dilemma. It's normal to fear this card as it haunts the caverns of the soul when it appears. Take time, real time, to be in the presence of the feelings this card stirs in you. let it humble you. And that's that is the value and the presence of being in doing healing work with others, right? It humbles us into a state of profound acceptance, because we realize that we're essentially getting buried in our own trauma, which is in a lot of cases no different than trauma that other people have gone through. So in the past, I've done a lot of work with swingers. So I used to run sort of conscious communication, and I work with partners, couples, postpartum, and just last year I started working with other women who had more profound experiences of child sexual abuse. And it is a humbling thing, because if you can get to the point where there is acceptance, openness and acceptance in the group, then you can see each other's pain, and it allows you to move beyond your own pain. And if you can do that, even just for like the smallest amount of time, the ego essentially loses attachment to that point of pain, and then you can raise your vibration just slightly more and just slightly more and just slightly more. So it is good to cycle in and out of doing group work and doing solo work. So if you aren't working with a group, women's groups, I like sitting like full moon parties, but I don't mean party, like I'm talking about women's. We run women, well, I shouldn't say we, because I'm not part of running them, but I attend full moon women's circles, and they are great. Red tents can be good, and definitely anybody who has just gone through birth, if you're requiring postpartum support, if you're going through postnatal depression, make sure that you find the right group of women who have the expertise to be able to support you through that, and to work through the energy that's stuck in the chakras. And I really do feel that mix of working together and working alone, we have to be able to, we can't supplement doing our own shadow work by working in groups. All right. Because I used to run a lot of yoga retreats, and yeah, you get people who think that instead of doing their own shadow work, they can just come to a yoga retreat and that they're going to get all of the healing that they need at the retreat. And it's just not the case. Like, it's the group work can be beneficial if there's areas that you're struggling to actually go down and tackle, but you can't not do not do the solo work. Solo work is part of the journey. It says access this archetype through creative acts like drawing, painting, or writing. Keep it simple. Ask the orphan what it wants to draw, make, or say. So I think, because we pulled this for the third eye chakra, it's asking us what it is that we want to see. It's asking us how far we want to see, right? So I love projecting my consciousness. Projecting my consciousness is a daily exuberant experience for me. But in this meditation, I just really struggled. I was like very drawn into myself, into the cave. So I think that it's also asking us how we want to temper our energy with the world. Because if we create from a place where we're unhealed, we create unhealed things. When we create from a place where we are more healed, we create more healed things. So it's really important that if we are going to be using the law of attraction and we are going to be manifesting, that we don't want to manifest like in full detail way into the future shit from an unhealed place. So Abraham Hicks said, and this was like a tool that I've used quite a lot in the last year. She talks about going wide and going narrow with our manifestations. And I'm just going to use the example of a romantic partner because I hopefully it's something we can all relate to. If you're desiring a romantic partner and you have the idea of what you're looking for, if you're getting discouraged in your manifestation, you need to stop going narrow, right? So if it's like you think a specific person is your person, and you're trying to manifest a relationship with them or some level of contact or intimacy or whatever the situation may be, but if you are getting no feedback in that cycle, then it's time to take your projection back a little bit. So if it's not that person, like maybe it's somebody else, maybe that feeling can come from somewhere else. And as you take your energy, you pull your energy back from, like envisioning the life that you want with them and, like running the full 9 yards into super detail, pull it back a little bit and then see what manifests, see what turns up in your periphery. And I had an experience of that last year where I just pulled back just the slightest amount, and then I ended up having like nearly 10 people come out of the woodwork, all trying to fill a gap that wasn't being filled by the person that I was projecting onto, that I wanted to fill that gap. And those people were probably always there, potentially even there to give me that energy and attention and energy exchange way sooner, but I was the one that held it back because I had been so specific with my manifestation of it. Okay, I'm feeling like that's all that we have. We have one more chakra to pull, and this will be our final message for tonight. Too many. So we're pulling for, all right. Oh goodness. Okay, we ended up with 3 cards. So this is not at all what I intended, because this is for the crown chakra. Okay, so we ended up with the cosmic. It's so funny. It's a cat. It's just a cat with a party hat on. I love it. So we are all cosmic creators, and I think that this is asking us to approach things with like like a bit of humor and That's not at all. Like, this cat looks really fucking sad, actually, when I look at it. Or maybe it's just, I don't know. I'm not a big cat person. But humor can be a amazing way of dealing with 3D reality. Because we can change. We can change the whole universe, but we have to change ourselves. And to use spiritual laws to do the work, so to work completely from the 5D rather than from the 3D, I think you've got to, I think you really do have to allow. Oh, it actually says comic, not cosmic. So, wow. All right, there we go. I think we do have to use laughter as a tool of connection, laughter is a great way to transmute energy. And when we see in a more unified way, like when we see the totality of the whole, right? Like the complete package of human experience, we can, like I said, create that gap between our ego, and it helps us transcend the ego. The next card we have is the tear. And, you know, these two, the comic and the tear, work together, right? A great tragedy is still great, right? So there's some level of paradox in, if a tragedy was always tragic, then nobody would ever want to like watch one. But we do watch them, right? We do allow ourselves to have these experiences. And I sort of see this eyeball as being in a snowflake, and as we know, snowflakes are all unique. So while there is some level of uniqueness in our own tragedy, it's connected to the whole. And the last card that we have here is Kairos, and this right here is sort of the patterning that most people use for portraying the crown chakra. So I'm going to pull a message from the guidebook, and then we will leave this reading where we're at. So I think it's the second last page of the booklet. I'm just going to check. It is 219. Ooh, have I got it? This is second last. No, here it is. Okay. So the guidebook says that we are, it's called Mythic Time. It says it's the card is about mythic time and synchronicity. So maybe I should do a reading on the spiritual law of synchronicity. Actually, I'm gonna make it a goal to post by Friday one of my little shorts on my little slide deck shorts on the law of synchronicity. It says the word evil comes from the root unripe. I'm not sure if that's correct, if I'm saying that correctly. It says, consider that everything has a time of ripeness. When it becomes a nourishing fruit, sweet to the lips. It says, compare the greener words, chronos and kairos. Oh, the Greek words, chronos and kairos. This will guide you to an understanding of logos and mythos. All right. When in alignment, it's ease in making decisions and in taking actions. When in dark, we are fighting against time. We've all had the experience of timelessness of life beyond the ticking of the clock. It may be felt as time standing still in slow motion, or losing track of time in a walk or in a lovely conversation. This is known as mythic time, and it is the territory of kairos. This card suggests that there is a secondary time continuum that goes beyond an earthly clock and schedules. Within this non-linear realm, we access divine timing. So it's interesting because we were talking a lot about projection here with the Orphan card at the third eye. And then of course we end up with mythic time coming out on the third chakra. It says, time becomes a living thing that watches over us and tells us precisely when to speak or act. When this card appears, it is all about patience and precision. No clock can guide you. Wait for the rush of inner knowing and not a moment longer. So I think that, and that really is the essence of the crown chakra. So I think what we're being called to do to bring ourselves into alignment is, I think a lot of it is about this speaking. A lot of it is about the knowing of what colors that we want to project here and how we want those projections to be refracted from our crown and projected through our third eye. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Hopefully I'll jump on tomorrow and do another little update. I'm thinking, just like the card says, when the moment is right, I'm going to sit down and do another twin flame reading for us. I want to do divine masculine, divine feminine energies and get an update on those. All right, sleep well, and we'll see you guys soon.